Good morning, Flosstube. Welcome back to my craft room. It is Sunday the 4th of September. I think it's still morning, not 100% sure. Here in the UK, we're now rapidly heading into autumn. It's very grey outside today, quite warm, quite humid. Not a very nice day, actually. So I'm going to stay inside and I'm going to stitch, and then I'm going to go and see my dad, do my check he's still alive visit, which is a bit of a running joke in our family because he's notorious for catching viruses and getting ill and not telling anybody, and then ending up in hospital. And then I've booked myself for a swim at a Lido, which for those that don't know is an outdoor unheated pool. I'm quite looking forward to it this afternoon. I like to swim outside. I like to swim in open water, so this is a bit of a change using an actual pool. Hopefully it'll be fun. So, quick sneak peek when we open the video. Here is my latest finish. Hopefully that's the right way around. I haven't fiddled with any of my camera settings since the last video. So what it says is Adventure Awaits. It's a birth sampler that I did for my niece, and the pattern in the centre, this part here, is an Etsy chart from a lady called Vlada X Stitch. I think she's Russian, so I don't honestly know if you can get the chart at the minute. I bought this last year. The signed out bits is obviously my niece's name and details. Don't really want those all over the internet. So the centre bit I purchased, and then the outside bit was done by me. The alphabet I purchased from Climbing Goat Designs as a font, and then I created the chart, and then the individual flags I charted myself. So as you can see, we have a Union Jack in the top corner along with a Canadian flag, and then down here we have a Yorkshire Rose and we have a Devon flag. And the symbolism between those flags is obviously my sister and her partner are British. They now live in Canada, but more significantly from our nationalist way we are, my sister and I were born in Yorkshire and raised in Yorkshire, and her partner was from Devon, which is in the south of England. So she has quite a bit of heritage. Obviously she was born in Canada, so she's a Canadian citizen as well as a British citizen. So the wording around the outside, I thought I wanted it to be a grown-up birth sampler. I didn't want it to be something that by the time they're 5 or 6 it goes in a cupboard and is never seen again. So around the outside it says, be proud, be positive, be resilient, be wise, be serene, be brave, be inspired, be joyful, but most of all be kind, which I felt summed up how you should be as a person. Doesn't mean you can't get angry, doesn't mean you can't get frustrated, but it means most of all be kind to other people and animals and whatever. So this is stitched on a 32 count Lugana from Kate Sparkley's. It's a fabric of the month from 2021, May I think it was. I seem to remember it arriving just before my sister told me she was pregnant. And it's stitched 2 over 2. All of this is all the called for DMC. And then down here, this was charted in DMC 310, and I changed it to a water lily. I think it was called Coal or Ink, something like that. So it's got greys with a tiny hint of purple in it, and then I changed the colour. These are colours that are within the design. I just wanted a bit more variation, and then the name and everything I've done in the yellow that's up here in the sunset. So that is my latest full finish. What did I learn stitching this? I learned I don't stitch to deadlines. I thought I did really well. The flags are stitched 1 over 1. So each one of those flags has about 3,000 stitches in it. And I got some very, very funny looks on the flight over to Canada last November because I spent the entire flight stitching this flag. And I stitched about 3/4 of it in the duration of the flight. It helps, it's only 2 colours. And I'd lined it out before we set off, so I was literally colouring in. It was finished before the baby was born. Obviously I needed to put the details on afterwards. It was finished in full before I flew home back to the UK. But the only framer in Canmore, where she lives, I took it in, had a chat with him, and as soon as he said he taped the backs, I was like, no, it's okay, I'll take it back to England. So it was framed by my friend Robert at Hawkins Hobbies here in England, and the idea was that my dad was going to take it when he flew out in April to go and meet his granddaughter, only for him to look at the suitcase and look at the parcel and go, yeah, that's not happening. So she's having it for Christmas this year, and it becomes their problem to take it back to Canada then. Don't be surprised if it's back in my house come January next year. I've had a horrible feeling that I'm going to end up taking it next time I go, which is fine. I'm not bothered. If that's the case, then so be it. But it is going to be formally gifted to them this Christmas because they're coming to England for Christmas. So hopefully she won't cry too much. She didn't cry the first time. She didn't cry when I showed it to her finished, but framed is a different matter. It is framed with art glass because her house is full of windows, and I don't want it to be. I don't want her to be restricted as to A, where she can hang it, and B, for it to fade just because she hung it in the living room. So yeah, art glass was the way to go. So that's my finish for this month. Well, my main finish anyway, the one that's framed. Do we have any other finishes? I think we just have the one. I can't remember if I showed you this last month. I think I might have done. So we finished this one last month, which is a model stitch for Jodrey Designs, stitched on 32 count opalescent Lugana, and it says, if you get home missing a shoe, it was a good night, and it's got pumpkins all the way around it. So it is a take on Cinderella. The pumpkins are stitched in a blend of a Jodrey floss, which is a variegated orange and browns, and a DMC to make it a little bit less variegated. I didn't want it to be excessively variegated. And what I did was actually fussy stitched. So if you look at the variegation on, say, some of the sideways pumpkins, the light's not very good today. What I did was I stitched that way so that this variegation goes in line with the back stitch. I had to unpick them so many times. Every time I stopped concentrating, I had to unpick them because I'd gone back to normal horizontal stitching. Okay, 2 more model stitches to go. I had 6 to do, I've done 4. So this is number 5, and it's based on Ohana. So it is flowers all the way around, a pink and a yellow. And again, there's some variegation floss in there to try and make it a little bit more organic. And then the phrasing on it, it says, Ohana, the ones you love who also drive you crazy. That one's nearly done. I've got to finish that flower, put that flower in there that's in that gap, and then backstitch the whole lot. I haven't done much backstitching. I've backstitched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 12 flowers. So actually I'm further on than I thought. I could finish that today if I put it back on the hoop. And then last but not least is the 6th one, which I have started. It was our Railway Beer Fest over August bank holiday, the late summer bank holiday, which was last weekend. So it's a charity beer and gin festival to raise money for the Steam Railway, where I volunteer and my husband volunteers. And sometimes it's quiet. In the afternoon in particular, it can be a bit quiet. So I took my stitching this year and put that many stitches in, about 200. Over the whole weekend. So yeah, they'll be done for the next video. If you want to see them fully finished, framed and everything, you need to have a look at my Instagram, which is also Gin Stitcher. On there I will put in the commentary all the flosses that I've used, including any blends and things like that, to show you exactly how it's been done. They're only little, they're only about, on 32 count, they're not quite 5 inches across. So, but yeah, they can be quite stitch heavy. That floral one I think is about 1600 stitches plus all the back stitch, and there's a lot of back stitch. I enjoyed stitching them. I'd like to get them done in the next couple of weeks. I'm on vacation next week. I have a list of things I'm taking with me. I have a bag just for stitching when I go on holiday. So if I fly, it's in my whole, it's basically my hand luggage is my stitching, because I don't put any of it in the hold. And if I'm in the car, then I have a bigger bag that I can just take. Okay. I'm going to be honest, I didn't think I'd done that much stitching in the last 4 weeks or so since I last saw you. And then I started getting it all out this morning and was like, I actually did quite a bit. What I haven't got out is all my haul. So that's just going to have to wait till next time. In my defence, there isn't very much. The US dollar, UK sterling exchange rate is currently awful. So I haven't put any orders in at 123 Stitch recently, and I don't think I'm going to anytime soon. And that's just life, unfortunately. It'll come back up, and then I shall shop for England. I'm warning you now. Okay, it is September. It was our friend Aileen's birthday on Thursday. So we had a new start. It was fall themed or Halloween themed. So I picked this one. God, the light is really bad today. Okay, it's a Mill Hill. Again, it's only going to be about 6 inches across. And it's a pussycat on a branch with a house and obviously the full moon for Halloween. So it's a black cat. I haven't seen how many beads there are on this yet. I don't want to know just yet. I was busy on Thursday. I was working all day, and then I was out in the evening catching up with some people I've not seen for a year or more. So I didn't get started on it till 9 o'clock in the evening, and that is my very, very, very weedy start. This is the top left-hand corner, so the moon will go here when I get that far. So it's all pink. There's a lot of cerise and magenta and colours like that in the top half. And then that is nearly all the way across. There's just a little bit of tree there. So that's basically how big it is. And again, big change. I don't like perforated paper. So this is 32 count opalescent Lugana. Most of the beads in this are petites, so they should fit fine. If there's any that are a bit tight, then I might swap them out for delicas. But yeah. Aim to get that one done by Christmas. Not really any reason why I won't. Except for the next thing, which is really, really, really becoming a priority. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that one next. Okay. So in my last video, I talked to you about the advent calendar I was going to do for my niece. Even though I learned with the birth sampler that I don't stitch to a schedule, what did I decide I was going to do? I decided I was going to stitch an advent calendar for this Christmas. So I finally got round to starting it, and this is bizarrely I've started with number 24. Don't ask me why. So there is number 24, little Santa Claus, and there is number 23, some snowflakes. Number 22 currently only has a hat, and then the ones below, 21 and 20, I just started. So there isn't really much to say about these. They're from Doreen Jones. They were in a magazine, World of Cross Stitch. I think they're available on her Etsy site now. It's a couple of years ago, the magazine. I don't have a picture of what it's going to finish like. She finished them on paper envelopes, which I get. It's a nice idea. It wasn't for me. I wanted this to be toddler friendly. So once these are completely finished and I've got all 24 stitched, then I will turn them into little bags, and they're going on a bunting to be hung up in my sister's house. So that is number 23, and as you can see, there is an incredible amount of backstitch. An absolutely incredible amount of backstitch. I came to the conclusion that this woman is trying to kill me. That thing is 3 inches tall. And it's got 37 colours in it. Ignore the fact it looks like a rat's nest. That is the colours for that advent calendar. It's like stitching a Haid in miniature. I'm loving it, don't get me wrong, but there is literally 4 stitches of everything in every little design. So I've started some, and I've started a couple more. We are really on the clock with this. I've got 8 weeks realistically to get these finished. And then we start on a different mission, which is finding the power supply for my sewing machine, which has vanished, so that I can plug my sewing machine in and actually make the bags and turn it into what I'm supposed to be turning it into. Okay, so that's the first pile of whips and sort of new starts. Then we get on to the stuff that you saw last month. First one is this one. Again, Mill Hill, Let It Snow. There are a lot of beads on this, an awful lot of beads. I don't think it looks that different to last month. What I have done is a lot of beading. So whilst I haven't filled in this section here, I've done a little bit of cross stitching down here, but mostly I've beaded all the way around here. Most of the letters, I've just got the S to do, put the button on, and then this snowflake here is completely done. And it does not sparkle on camera the way it should do, which is really upsetting. This one is next, this big snowflake here, and then this one in the top corner. What I have done, you can spot my trailing threads, is all of the little snowflakes, I don't know if you can see them, are back stitched. There's one there. Should be done in DMC white. And I've changed them out for Krynic number 4, 001, so a silver. And I've done that across all 3 designs for a bit of continuity, just because I think it stands out a little bit more, and again it adds a little bit more sparkle. So that's the first one of the series, Let It Snow. And again, these are going on holiday with me next week, and I do want to actually really crack on with them. So the next one is the snowflake. Again, if you remember, this one was completely stitched last month, but I had only beaded 2 of the legs. Well, I got this out yesterday. And hang on a minute, let me get it the right way up. That's the right way up. And that is how far I got. So this leg was beaded, this leg was beaded, and I've done this one and most of this one. So I've also put some more of the stars in around the outside. So that is so close to being finished. I could actually finish that today again if I wanted to. Can't remember what the other one I said I was going to finish today. But yeah, so that's theoretically finishable today. Certainly this week. And then last but not least is the trees. So you've let it snow, you've had some snowfall, and now you have trees, which again are covered in snow. So this one has moved on quite a lot since I last saw it. Again, I haven't done massive amounts of stitching. I'm trying desperately to bead as I go. So as I finished a row, I will literally fill it in with beads. So it's going all the way around here, all the way across the top, and most of the way across the bottom now. I've just got this side to do, same as this side, and then I can start filling in the trees. Oh my goodness, so many beads. So many beads. Okay, that's my Mill Hills. Next one along the lines is Bella. Apologies for the rattling. You know what Bellatrix looks like. She looks like this. So this is Bella Filipina. She's quite a big girl. She's 21.5 inches tall. So she's not a small girl. And I have... She made it onto the bars. I know I said last month I was going to work on her. I put her on the bars. Does that count as working on her? Might have to stand up for this one. So here she is. I haven't done huge amounts because she really wasn't talking to me the way I thought she might do. I also had a bit of a mini meltdown. I put a lot of this bit in here last winter, and then I decided that suddenly this is not going to match up with this. So I've concentrated on filling. I've done a little bit up here. I'm trying to get it to go down here so that I can verify that it's all in the right place, and then I can carry on at leisure. One thing I did do, I've put a few beads in here. These are not the called for beads, so there's the first change out on this one. This is 28 count linen from Pole Stitches in the colourway Fantasy. It's actually showing quite true on the camera. It's quite a stormy grey. It's got an opal in it as well, so there's a green opalescent in the background. As you can see, I really haven't done very much, and I'm not expecting to do a huge amount in the next 4 or 5 weeks either. So what I will say is I've swapped those gold beads out. This is the called for, she says. There we go. It's Mill Hill 00557, size 11, and they are very yellow gold. I don't have anything against Mill Hill. I feel the need to point this out. I like Mill Hill. I think they're very organic, the way that they are never all quite the same. But the colour just felt tacky. I don't know. Is that the right word? I don't know. I didn't like it. What did I have in my drawer? Some Delicas. And these are the 24 karat gold lined crystals, which is Delica bead 0033. And again, they're a size 11. But bearing in mind this was her stand with the book on, I wanted the uniformness of the Delicas, because it's not meant to be organic. It's meant to be straight, and I love it. It's a million miles better than what I thought it was going to look like with the Mill Hill. So that's the colour we've swapped out so far. That is the only change so far. I don't know if it'll be the only change across the whole thing. Okay, where did we get to? Chatelaine first or full coverage first? Chatelaines. Always the chatelaines. Okay, let's just get them up on my little laptop. Okay, so the first one, the Gothic tiles, Gothic ornament, whatever you want to call them. That is what one of them will look like. That's the teal. That is really washing out. The light is terrible today. Okay, being me, I'm not just doing one, I'm doing all 4 and the centre, and I'm doing on black. 32 count linen that I obtained from my friend Tracy, and bear with me, I need to find the top, which is that way up. The world's tiniest little arrow, which you probably can't even see, and this is where we got to. This is now officially away, probably for the winter. I wanted to mark out, so this section here, this is the centre motif that you only get if you buy all 4 as a pack. And I've got that to the point that's not going to progress now for a while. The centre is all black work and with beads, and I'm going to add extra crystals that aren't charted. And then there's a band of colour here, which is charted as Gloriana Chocolat and Gloriana Autumn Gold. And I'm not 100% convinced. I'm probably going to change that. Why are we flashing? So what I've done is this is all treasure brain. This is all treasure brain. I wanted to get all 4 marked into their places, so that in theory I can go to retreat or I can fish it out and I can just start. And I can start with any of the 4 motifs at my leisure without having to do a huge amount more counting. So that is where we've got to. It's not quite how big it's going to be. Each of these has another one of these on the outside. So we are fairly tight on the margins. It's going to be about there. And the same on the other side. Got a lot more space top and bottom. That's a fat half. In case you're interested, that's a fat half. So that is my Gothic ornaments so far. I do genuinely think that one is away now for the winter. It's very much a summer project, is this one, with it being on the black fabric. I don't like injuring myself that much. Okay, so that's Gothic ornaments. And then we have Indian Summer Reflections, which I started at the Chatelaine retreat in July. So that's what it will look like when it's finished. And I'm actually doing it on a fabric not dissimilar to that. This is a Kate Sparkley's fabric. It's coming up a little bit grey on the camera. It's a very pale blue grey. Again, it's a fat half. It doesn't have a name because I got it out of the bargain bin. Just making sure this is the right way around. And now this one I've started at the top because I'm a bit weird. So instead of starting it in the middle, I've started it at the top. So that is the glass house at the top of the frame and the swirls that go along the edge to start with. Believe it or not, there's 4 colours of silk in that swirl. I was a bit bemused as I was stitching it. And there are some beads on there already. Just a few. Again, because I'm not beading at the end. I'll put the Swarovskis on at the end. But the thought of going back and putting 5,000 Delicas on is my idea of hell. So that is my started chatelaines. There's another one. The lady who said she was only ever going to stitch 1 chatelaine now has 4. Probably one of the more famous ones. This is Poison Garden, based on the gardens at Alnwick, which are about a 2-hour drive from my house. There's 4 or 5 of us stitching this design now, and we are going to all have a road trip out to the Poison Garden at Alnwick eventually. One day, and when we do, we'll bring pictures. So I haven't started this yet. I have got all the silks and all the DMC and everything. Excuse me. I've launched one. We've managed 2 cats without 2 videos without cats so far. We're hoping on a 3rd. But if I start throwing floss around, all bets are off. So Glorianas, there are mountains and mountains of water lilies in this. But look at all those beautiful colours. Okay, I ordered my fabric for this at the Chatelaine Retreat in July. It needs a 27 by 27 inch piece on a 32 count. More colours. Treasure braid, lots of treasure braid. Okay, I've seen this stitched on lots and lots of different colours. My silk lame. My fabric came. It came really quickly actually. I genuinely wasn't expecting to get it this quick, and this is what arrived. This is a Kate Sparkley's fabric and it's called Supernova. It's a 32 count even weave. It's got no opal in it. I didn't want the sparkle because it's going to have enough sparkle from the millions of beads and Swarovskis and treasure braid and whatnot. So, what do you think? Tell me, tell me, tell me if you think I am crazy. I love it. I absolutely love it. If you think I'm bonkers, feel free to tell me. I've just launched a load more floss. 1 second. There is a couple of flosses that are not going to show very well on this. I'm open to that. I'm open to adding some backstitch and some definition, or maybe changing the colours very slightly. We're just going to see how it goes. So yeah, 27 by 27 Supernova. If you get this in linen, it's a lot darker, a lot darker. So that is the chatelaines. We're done. Done with chatelaines for today. Will there be more? I don't know. I've got 6 more kits on order. I've got Tinctorium down in the box under the desk, which I don't have fabric for yet, so we just have to wait and see. Okay. Bear with me. Just having tech issues over here. Okay, so the next one then is the full coverages, and this is going to be quite a short video today actually. So, Patronus. It's called Patronus cropped actually. The full version has Harry down here. I wasn't so keen on that. It seemed to take away from the image, so I went with the cropped version. I'm fairly sure it basically calls for every single shade of blue that DMC offer. It's 60 colours, nearly all of them blue. Okay, I might need a board for this. So it's still on the bars because I have still actively been stitching on this month. I've probably put about 500 stitches in it this since you last saw it. It's not quite at 10% yet, and it's stitched on 32 count, easy count, 1/1, and I'm currently up here working on this colour. I've got about 1200 stitches left to do on that colour. Then I will be at 10%, and I'm going to put it away for a bit once we get to that point. So you'll see it next month, and then it'll go away for a bit because I've got lots of others to work on. I do have a question though. Look at all my needles. Does anybody else end up with a needle minder with a needle nest on it, and then go in their needle case and go, where are all my needles? I've come to the conclusion that's just me. If anyone else has this problem, feel free to tell me. Okay, so that one is Patronus. It's 75,000 stitches. As I say, I'm not quite at 10%. Okay, next one. Haven't worked on this. This is in the plans. This is going to be my winter focus, I think. This is the Heaven and Earth Designs. It's called Warm at Home. Artwork by Irina Garmashova. Charted by Heaven and Earth. So it's got 37 colours, and it's monochromatic. And it's a pussycat. I've finished 6 colours. Again, I'm stitching it colour by colour. This is going to wash out really badly. There we go. I'm not quite at 1% on this. So again, over the winter, I'd like to get this up to 10%, which is 10,000 stitches, because it's got 104,000 stitches in the pattern. I was thinking, just doing it in my head. Yes, 10,000 stitches. Again, 1/1 on 32. That is my preferred for full coverage. Hopefully when you see that one it'll look different. But I want to get the current colour finished on my Patronus first before I start on this one. It's on the bars just for convenience, really. It's the sort of one I usually take on retreat because it's got lots of blocks of stitching in it that I can just fill in when I'm not really concentrating. And that's it. That's it from me today. So I've done a lot more stitching than I thought. Haven't made as much progress on anything. Haven't really finished anything. But next month hopefully we'll have lots of finishes to show you. Stay in touch. Like, subscribe, come back. Don't come back. I'll miss you if you don't come back. It was nice talking to you. Happy stitching, and I will see you soon.